It's turning into one of the best seasons in the history of this series, bolstered by a new class that has turbocharged the paddock and turned heads round the nation. The next stop takes us to country Victoria, drawing fans from rural districts nearby and across the border of neighbouring New South Wales. Known for its wine and history that ties this region to the famous outlaw Ned Kelly. We're ready for a standoff of a different kind as the Car Sales TCR Australia Series loads up for a critical round. Welcome to Winton Motor Raceway and our coverage of Round 5 of the Shannon's Nationals. The wind has picked up a little bit. The Bureau says we're in for a partly cloudy afternoon with highs of 17 degrees here and the very slight chance of some rain. Maybe, just maybe, it will happen after this afternoon's double header. Hi everybody, Greg Russ with you as a part of our coverage of Car Sales TCR Australia, Round 5 of the Shannon's Nationals. We're at Winton Motor Raceway, about 200 kilometres north-northeast of Melbourne. And Aaron Noonan, this should be a ripping afternoon. Back-to-back racing, 90 points they can add to the title fight this afternoon, and maybe some weather thrown into the mix.
Just maybe. Hopefully not, but we had an amazing race yesterday with Jason Bright getting victory. We saw action, we saw a little bit of carnage, a little bit of drama, but spring has sprung, nice weather. It's Father's Day as well, so happy Father's Day to you and all the fathers watching today on SBS. We've got two races of the turbocharged pocket rockets that so far this year have delivered some fantastic racing.
Let's talk a little bit more about that, because over the course of the season, Jason Bright began the year with a bang, with kicking off with the first ever victory in the history of the game here, and then bit of a lull. Now he's right back in it.
We had to send a search party out for the former Bathurst champ. He won that first race of the year at Sydney Motorsport Park and then was not on the podium again until yesterday, the 13th race. We thought it might be unlucky for some. It was lucky for Jason Bright. He got the job done with a victory in the Volkswagen Golf to remind all those young guns of TCR that he's still a competitive force.
We have a progressive grid formula as far as this series is concerned, so he will start from pole position for race 2, which is coming up very soon. Let's tidy up a couple of things that came out of Saturday afternoon for you, some incidents. Firstly, one involving Nathan Morecambe and Tony D'Alberto. The Honda driver has copped a penalty in the wake of all that.
And he's not happy either, Rusty. 5 seconds added to his race time yesterday from contact with the Hyundai driver. That drops Tony from position 4 to position 6 in the race 1 results, and that means, of course, he starts from 6 for race 2 this afternoon.
Now, Jason Bright's stablemate, Alexandra Whitley, was right in the thick of the competition yesterday. We've got some vision we're about to show you. The first incident we'll talk about, though, involves Leanne Tander, the Audi pilot. They had it coming together, didn't they?
Yeah, down at turn 11, contact nose to tail. Leanne in the Audi off the road. And for Alexandra, the Kiwi-based Australian driver, a 30-second post-race time penalty added to her race time. So that moves her behind Leanne in the race 1 results, but keen to fight back today and get back in the top 10.
And some spectacular vision as she battled with Molly Taylor as well. Those two having a moment. And Whitley kept the foot absolutely buried, smoking those front tyres, pointing back in the right direction. Let's power on and look at the revised championship standings. This is coming up. Race 2 is only one of 8 remaining races to decide the title fight. And on top, the man who grabbed pole position yesterday, Will Brown, and finished with yet another podium.
He's punching out those podium results. 63 points now is the margin between Will Brown and the Hyundai, and Dylan O'Keefe, who finished right behind him yesterday in the Alfa Romeo. Some brake problems with that car. They're hoping to have those fixed for today. They're the two 21-year-olds who've really taken this series by storm. They're the guys fighting for the title. Lots
of other news happening around the pit lane here at Winton Motor Raceway. So on that note, we've got our reporters, Emma Notta-Francesco and Cameron Vanderdungen, patrolling it for you. Let's check in with Cam right now.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Aaron. I'm down at the back of the grid at the moment where Gary Rogers Motorsport will dominate down here. We're still waiting for the cars. Jordan Cox will be starting out of position 17 right behind me at the back. Now, he also had a 10-point series penalty as part of a contact with an incident that happened down at turn 1 with John Martin. Jordan Cox moving across on a limping John Martin, and instead of any other penalties, because he DNF'd that race, they've given him a 10-point series deficit, or they've subtracted 10 points off him. He'll be here shortly. They're still making their way around, but let's have a wander up the grid as well at the moment, because we've got Bryce Fullwood here, one of our drivers, is joining us. I'm going to dive bomb you here, Bryce. Now, mate, how is your TCR experience going so far?
It's going. Yeah, look, it's been an experience for sure. Obviously, was really looking forward to the race yesterday, but we broke a drive shaft off the start. So I'd actually had a really good launch and it pulled out to pass the row in front of me before it went pop, and that was the end of it. So I was pretty lucky the Kelly Racing boys, it only took them 3 laps and they fired a new drive shaft in it, and I was able to get out there and actually classify as a finisher in front of some of these other guys. So I was 3 laps down, but I still went forward 2 grid spots, which was good. But yeah, look, really looking forward to the race now.
And just quickly, the front-wheel drive experience as well, enjoying it?
Yeah, it's certainly different. I mean, I certainly like getting thrown in the deep end and having a bit of a crack at some different things. So, yeah, it's going to be different, and it sure is. Obviously, the cold rear tyre thing's fairly crazy, and a colder day here today than yesterday too. So, it's going to be pretty hectic, but I'm looking forward to it.
Only one thing to do, mate, and that's got to send it.
That's absolutely right.
Thanks, Bryce.
Thank you.
The Hyundai i30 of the series leader on the front row, Will Brown. And fittingly, it's Father's Day. You're spending it with your dad here. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely comes to every event, which is pretty cool. No, it's been a great day. Had breakfast this morning and it was a late start, so it was nice.
Has he been kind to you today, Shane? What's he been like?
At least he paid for breakfast with my credit card.
With your credit card. Great stuff. I mean, he's had an amazing year in this series. You've always loved your motor racing. I guess you're proud of how this is all playing out so far.
Yeah, he does a great job in everything he hops in, and it's just, how can I put it, it's a great class fun-wise, like father and son. I get to clean the car, he drives it. I try and tell him how, but he doesn't listen to anything I say. But it's just a good father and fun thing to do. It's and TCR is just a great round. It's hasn't got the pressure of some classes, so you have a lot of fun.
Good stuff.
And he gets on well with all the other drivers. It's a real bit more of a fun environment in the pits too.
He's a credit to you. He's a great character. Have a fantastic afternoon. That race to turn one's going to be a beauty.
Yeah, it's going to be good. See if we can jump him off the start.
Good
Cheers.
One of the drivers has been amongst all the action so far. Alexandra Whitley, you were in everything yesterday. How are you feeling? A bit beaten up?
Oh yeah, we're a bit all over the place. It's actually really nice to see the girls starting to make their way up the grid, but we'll get amongst it today and see where we turn out.
Molly, just in front of you, there was a very interesting incident we saw yesterday. You feel like you're going to return serve today with Molly?
No, I'm not that kind of driver, but good on Molly for getting in there amongst it and for having a go, so take my hat off to her. It must be hard for her to go from rally to tarmac, but it's going to be a really good day. Hopefully we can move forward.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Tony D'Alberto is spending his weekend here in the best possible way, racing a car. But you've had Steph, your wife, and you've had Oscar, your son, here as well, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a family affair, so it's really nice to have them here this weekend. Obviously Father's Day today, and I'm away a lot during the year, so to have them come away travelling with me this weekend at Winton is really special.
I've never really known this bloke not to smile, but you've been hit with a penalty overnight, and I don't know that you're too happy about it, are you?
Yeah, I wasn't too happy. I thought it was a bit rough, to be honest, but trying to get past people here at this sort of circuit's quite narrow. There is always a bit of bump and grind, and I thought it was okay, but anyway, the powers that be didn't think it was.
You're all set to gas this Type R this afternoon, give it some curry?
Yeah, definitely. We're made a few tweaks overnight, so fingers crossed they've worked. I need to get a much better start than yesterday. That really hurt me. That's what I was sort of on a recovery mission yesterday, to try and get back to the front. But I think if we can get the line well, we've got a good race car.
Good stuff. Enjoy.
Thank you. Cheers.
Tony D'Alberto starting from position 6 for this second race of the weekend. He's third in the series points. Stay with us here on SBS and Winton Motor Raceway when we come back. Race 2, round 5 at the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. Back at Winton Motor Raceway, getting ready for race 2 of the weekend of the TCR Australia Series. Greg Rust is with one of our new drivers.
Out of grid position 10 is Liam McAdam, a guy who's been a star in the Toyota 86 Series, has done some supercars racing as well. We've had a bit of a wild outlap here. Tell us what's happened.
I think I'm just trying a bit too hard to warm those rears up. I want to get a nice, good first lap, so I think a bit too much effort on that one.
You've enjoyed this whole experience so far, haven't you? Very different kind of race car, but it's you've clearly adapted well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really enjoying it so far, and like you said, completely different front-wheel drive, fair bit more power, like really adjusting to it. But no, definitely the team's been fantastic getting me up to speed.
Cool. Have a good afternoon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Down on the grid, not far away now for the start of race 2, the Car Sales TCR Series. Jason Bright on pole, who was the race winner yesterday. The damage he found in the lead up to this event has certainly showed that the pace is still in him, but he hasn't had the car underneath him for the last couple of rounds. Watch out for Jason Bright as well, but those 2 Hyundais, they'll be coming.
Looking forward to this one, Cam. Another 18 laps, 2 races this afternoon with a short break in between. And now we wait. Bob Riley and the team from HMO Customer Racing, they're leading the series with Will Brown by 63 points coming into this race. There's 40 up for grabs for the win in this one, 50 on the line for the race later this afternoon, and we're on board with Liam McAdam, one of 3 drivers making their TCR Australia Series debut this weekend. We spoke to one of them earlier in Bryce Forward. The other one is Tim Brook, the reigning Toyota 86 Racing Series champion, and he starts from position 9. Did a really good job in that 3rd Wall Racing Honda yesterday. Let's have a look at the circuit. Winton Motor Raceway first opened in the early 1960s, but the version we're on today has been here since 1997, that longer part of the circuit. Turn 10, 11, 12 added here just over 2 decades ago. 3 kilometres. It is the nation's action track for a reason, and it's perfectly suited to these front-wheel drive, turbocharged pocket rockets of TCR. Winton Motor Raceway. It's played host to some of the big names over the years. Plenty of action, plenty of drama. And as we roll on now, the cars take off for the warm-up and formation lap. Will Brown, the series points leader, starts on the front row of the grid. On the next row is the man chasing him in the race and in the series points, Dylan O'Keefe. We'll run you through who's in what car. 19 cars are rolling around. Greg Rust is alongside me in the commentary box. Looking forward to this one. It is all about those first couple of laps, getting tyre temperature. That's what is happening.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what that 777 car of Andre Heimgartner can do. Remember, he started yesterday from the front row of the grid, out of position number 7 today. That beautiful snow in the background of our car sales starting grid at Mount Buller. Just a short drive, really, only about an hour and a half up the road. It's Bright and Brown on the front row. Dylan O'Keefe right in the mix in this championship for Ash Seaward Motorsport, alongside Nathan Morcom, who gets that gain from that penalty applied to Tony D'Alberto, the Wall Racing Honda pilot, back out of position 6. Heimgartner, we just mentioned. Russell Ingall, proud father on Father's Day, and looking for a better run than he enjoyed on the Saturday in the Audi.
Molly Taylor starts 11th. That was her equal best performance of the year. Leanne Tander next. Alexandra Whitley. John Martin finished after pitting with a puncture from some contact with Will Brown. Hamish Ribberts, he had a puncture too right at the end of the Holden Astra, was a non-finisher, and a miserable day for GRM. Jordan Cox, James Moffat, Chris Pither, they all start down the back. The good news is all those cars are on the circuit ready to go. This is round 5 of 7. It's a 7-round 21 race series, this first ever year of Car Sales TCR Australia. This guy, James Moffat, was spectator yesterday more than he was race driver. Let's hope that they've got the issues with the throttle in this Renault underway. They thought initially there was a fuel pressure issue with the McGahn RS yesterday. He's been on the podium a couple of times this year. Look for him to charge through the field.
In fact, he was spectating just opposite our commentary box here, the old pit lane at Winton. We're on board with Dylan O'Keefe, second in the championship right now. That aggressive weaving, so important to generate some tyre temperature. They're lively in the opening few laps. The rear tyres in particular take just that fraction longer to come up to temperature, so that means the drivers have their hands full. And the guys that are brave enough, and girls for that matter, to have a dip on the opening lap, they will get a gain from it. But risk doesn't always equal reward, but it does equal reward for those of you watching at home in terms of entertainment, that's for sure.
And the temperature today isn't quite as warm as we had yesterday when we had the first race in round 5 of the series. So drivers will have to be careful of that, getting the heat in the rear Michelin tyres. They're all front-wheel drive cars. They are all turbocharged. They are all no more than 2 litre. If you haven't seen TCR Australia, buckle in. This is going to be good. The run down to turn 1, 8 different brands on the grid this weekend. We have taken this series from Sydney Motorsport Park to Phillip Island to the Bend to Queensland Raceway, and now we get a tight track for the first time in 2019. Jason Bright, the guy that's been there, the guy that's done it. He's won the Gold Star. He's won the Bathurst 1000. He's had a long career in supercars. This guy, Will Brown, is trying to really build a career. He's been champion in all the development categories, working his way up. He leads the points in TCR. He's just 21 years of age. Jason Bright's more than double his age. He's more than 10 times his experience. So they're going to go head-to-head on the run to turn 1. Volkswagen Hyundai, away we go in race 2 of the weekend at Winton, and it's the series leader with a very good jump, but it's the pole man in the VW who's got it. One of the Renaults is off in the background. James Moffat hasn't even made it to the first corner.
Interesting start. It looked as though Brown got away nicely, but in the second sort of phase of it, Bright really gripped up. And look at the start from Nathan Morecambe up into position 3. The Hyundais, both of them, second and third right now. Nice job. O'Keefe is out wide, not ideally positioned. Aaron Cameron gets the gain from that.
Further back in the field, John Martin's been shuffled back. He was wide and sideways on the run through turn 3. This sweep is the one that catches them out on the cold rear tyres, and Jason Bright, the leader, squirreling all over the road, and Brown's pounce. Morgan's next, then Cameron. O'Keefe has been shuffled back. Tony D'Alberto, there's Martin in the second of the Honda Civic Type Rs, and already the young gun from Toowoomba, Will Brown, is putting the pressure on Jason Bright as they make their way through the right-hander onto the back straight. There's Martin responding down the inside of Jordan Cox. The first lap, it's been a little willing.
Bryce Forward said to me on the grid, I'm just going to send it and have some fun after that drive shaft issue. He's looking pretty aggressive right now. Watch for the McGahns coming through the field as well for the likes of James Moffat and Chris Pither. Looking left, looking right. Will Brown aggressive through the final few turns. Can't quite get it done. He'll be close to Bright as they come across the start-finish line. Awesome stuff. Will Brown's talked about the fact that it takes maybe just a lap or two sometimes, but he's looking really sharp here. Does not want to let Jason Bright get out of sight, too far ahead of him. Nicely done through turns 1 and 2. Bright looks a little ragged there, catches the VW Golf. An opportunity for Brown, under brakes, gets it done, new race leader.
And now it's a Hyundai sandwich because Morecambe's in there in third. The teammates are really firing in. Aaron Cameron in the Melbourne Performance Centre Volkswagen, he's in the queue as well. Top 6, there's nothing between them. Into the sweeper, lap 2. And Brown starting to move away. The fastest driver, the fastest car of the series so far. More podiums, more race wins than just about anybody out there. But have a look at how tight it is. And it's a bit of everything. Just about all of the 8 brands of car are in the one TV shot.
And a couple of them have done super well in the opening lap or 2 here. Well done, Aaron Cameron, position 4. Russell Ingles picked up a spot. He's position number 7 as well. And closing on that group in that Castrol Audi. Nice stuff from the Enforcer.
So Jason Bright just getting the rhythm going again. Brown's clearing away. The series points leader has 4 race wins this year, 9 podium results. And he's got the lead. Down at turn 11, building that margin. Now Bright has to cover because Nathan Morecambe. They've had a 1-2 before the Hyundais this year down at Phillip Island earlier in the season. Replay the start. And I want to see in the background, how does James Moffat end up? A little bit of a clip and contact. I think he rode over the rear wheel of Hamish Riberitz in the Holden Astra there by the looks of things, and it spat him straight off the road.
Teammate Pither sits in position 15 at the moment. So back we go. The Actron Air replay showing you Brown getting it done, but it kind of was set up through turns 1 and 2, really. Bright looked a little awkward as he came through turn 2. Brown gets it done nicely as they came past the old pit lane. Clearly, the word conservative or conservation, as we take a look at this incident between Moff gets up on 2 wheels as he makes contact with Ribberitz. The onboard really telling there.
When you've had a bad weekend, that is just making things even worse. Brown is clearing away. Oh, look who's here. The man who used to dominate this joint in
Winton,
the Valvoline Commodore days. Jason Bargwanna, the 2000 Bathurst champ. His son Ben works with the GRM crew on the TCR weekends and a bit of an emerging racer of his own right in open wheeler racing. Great to see Bargs here, the winner of the Winton Supercar round in, I think from memory, 99 and 2000. There was a couple of years here where they just gave him the trophy because he was the guru of this place.
John Martin up to position 9 in the second of the Honda Civics. We ride with Aaron Cameron now. What a start this bloke has had. On the back foot a little bit in practice. Our 50-minute practice session on Saturday had some damage that they needed to repair on that car. They've done it. He thought it would really hurt him in terms of the qualifying and race pace of this machine. Well done to the Melbourne Performance Centre crew. He's on top at the moment here, doing a nice job in P4 on top of that car.
He made a little mistake in the closing stages yesterday and cost himself a position on the run towards the line. Jason Bright, he's the cork in the bottle here because look at them lining up. 2.6 seconds is the margin that Will Brown has built on the field. Ingle and Heimgartner there, 7th and 8th. But this is where the fight is. Volkswagen, Hyundai, Volkswagen Golf, then the Alfa, the Honda of Tony D'Alberto is just a little bit further back in the queue, but Will Brown, fastest lap of the race. Last time around, he's the only driver in the 1 minute 25. The chasing pack, they're in the 26s.
It is like the Toowoomba Tearaway does not know the word conservation.
No.
He just wants to go for race wins. It doesn't matter that he leads the series and that he might be risking it. This is awesome stuff from Will Brown. He leads by 2.9 seconds with 14 and a half to go.
And he's driving away from them. And he knows too that this Hyundai i30N over the race run does tend to fade away a little bit. So that margin will be handy. Down in pit lane, Richard Holway to the right, Dave Swenson to the left. Combined experience of about 9 million years between those two gents in
great
motorsport
minds.
Of all sorts, with a great history of them at the Holden Racing team and in more recent years at GRM, working with the Renault Megans of James Moffat, Chris Pither, and remember that Jordan Cox in the Alfa Romeo, who's locked in now for the rest of the year in that car for the final 2 rounds at Sandown event. 4 laps down, and Will Brown's down the 24s, a 1:24.95. The margin's 3.3 seconds. He's getting away from them, and I reckon the guy that's really starting to wonder if this series is slipping away is there in car number 9, that Alfa, Dylan O'Keefe, position 5. He got a podium yesterday, but I've not seen him as animated in a post-race interview as he was with you yesterday. Brake problems in that car. He was really hanging on and probably lucky to get to position 3 and stay there.
Let's try and get some more from the lane, shall we? Here's Emma.
Brewer and Beasley, it's been a really tough weekend for you guys, and unfortunately the bad luck continues with Moff.
It's one of those things, you know, everyone's trying to go into one spot, so just proves how strong the car is. He's got going, a couple of faster sectors and moving forward, so it's unfortunate, but these things happen.
Thanks, Brewer.
That's what I was trying to mention before to draw the positive. Gary Rogers actually looked quite flat when I saw him before coming up for the race. The glass half full stuff, well done to GRM. They've worked enormously hard this weekend on those cars. At the moment, Brown's lead now out to 3.5 seconds in that Hyundai i30N. Here's his teammate, Nathan Morecambe. Good job. At the moment, eyeing up a podium finish in this race, but he's got his hands full. Aaron Cameron and Dylan O'Keefe, who needs to clear them if he's to minimise that damage to Will Brown in the title chase.
And Nathan Morecambe's had 1 podium this year. It was at Phillip Island in race 6 of the series, and it was a 1-2 for the HMO customer racing team. They're 1-3 here at the moment, but Bright's been able to hang on here. For a while there it looked like he was mega vulnerable, but there's the margin that the Task Force VW Golf has been able to put on the chasing pack of Morecambe, Cameron, O'Keefe. There he is. We're on board now with the number 9 Alfa from Ash Seaward Motorsport, and it's a busy year for O'Keefe. He's in Super 2 full-time with GRM. He's done a little bit of Carrera Cup racing. Remember, that's the series that he came from. So he's just about every weekend or every second weekend, he's in a car. He's a guy who has done great things in TCR this year. 4 race wins in the Alfa Romeo, including 2 last time out at Queensland Raceway.
And when you run into him at places like the lounge at the airport, he's proper professional race driver, off track and on it. So yeah, he was good to see him being so honest, so candid in that interview yesterday. But it's about race results and titles that this young man is chasing. And it's another youngster, Will Brown, that he's in the fight with. He has the fastest lap of the race so far. Banks a 1 minute 24.89 to extend the margin, 4.6 seconds over Jason Bright. Saw Ingle and Tony D'Alberto battling there a moment ago. We back to the fight for third. Look at this here. The Audi is really starting. I wonder if D'Alberto's got a little bit of not an issue maybe, but Ingle's car looks racy by comparison.
Yeah, the Honda has not had the speed in this race so far, and Ingle is looming, the number 100 Audi. How many years have we seen Castrol on the side of a race car with the Enforcer? For many years it was a Commodore, now it's an Audi RS3 from Melbourne Performance Centre, and he's actually vulnerable here. John Martin's got a good run down the inside at turn 3, so Ingle's dropped a couple of spots there back from where he was running. Heimgartner's got through in the Astra, and now Martin pounces as well, so that's a bit of a shuffle back for the Enforcer.
Yeah, good job by the second of the Honda drivers there. Martin is hustling here. I thought it was D'Alberto. D'Alberto's in fact fighting with Andre Heimgartner, I should say, whose Astra's come alive in this race. Wasn't as sharp at the start, but it's alive there now, most definitely. And Martin fighting his way through up into position number 8. Brown, 4.5 seconds over Jason Bright. Ride with Dylan O'Keefe here. Let's get some more from the lane. Cam?
Barry Hay, you're working with Dylan O'Keefe at the moment. This is almost season defining right now.
Mate, Will Brown, he's certainly led from the front. He's gone like a robber's dog, so you're not going to catch him now. You know, you need an active guide to get past him, really. So it's just trying to make up the numbers and get consistent and try and, get as many points as you can.
So what's Dylan need to do to get past these cars in front? Tough track to pass on.
Mate, probably we need something like a lightning strike onto Will Brown just to help him down. But no, when you get that gap, you just can't get him back.
Thanks, Baz. Thank you.
He is the quotable quote machine of Seawood Motorsport. You know you're going to get a good grab when you go and have a chat to Barry Hay, a guy who's been there and done it all with Russell Ingle in supercars and the like. What's he get down our time machine? Is there a drama for Tim Brook on debut in the Honda Civic from Wall Racing? He's tumbling off our timesheets, and this is why, because he's on his way in a pit lane, and that's even slower than normal for entry to the lane. This is the Honda that came into the country a few rounds ago. Jordan Mickles, the young Kiwi, drove it last time out in Queensland, and Jordan Cox drove it at the Ben Motorsport Park, so hopefully we can get some more on what's going on there for the reigning Toyota 86 Racing Series champ. Back here for the fight in the final podium position. We're approaching half race distance. Race 2, round 5, the Car Sales TCR Australia Series at Winton Motor Raceway. Great to have you with us today here on SBS. And this young guy, Aaron Cameron, the youngest man in the field this weekend, 19 years of age in car number 2. This Volkswagen is run from Melbourne Performance Centre. It's teammates with the 3 Audis that are in the field, and we're hearing from the lane puncture for Tim Brooks, so hence the Honda will get that Michelin changed, and at least he can get back on the road, get some laps in and get some running. Looking over the pit wall, I reckon that's Todd Kelly, if I know the red Kelly Racing jacket. He's on the radio this weekend for Bryce Fullwood in the Subaru, and here is the Wall Racing team making this change to the right front. So at least Tim Brook can get some laps, get classified, and line up again for the final race this afternoon.
5.5 seconds now. Brown continues to extend this one. We ride with his main combatant, his direct threat, if you like, in the title race right now, Dylan O'Keefe, who sits in position number 5. The Alfa Romeo. Will it come alive a little more for him in this final part of the race? Less than 10 to go now. Bit of a lock break for Aaron Cameron as they come off the edge of the sweeper and then around the tree here at Winton. All in a good fight here. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, of course, O'Keefe.
And it's not the end of the world for Dylan O'Keefe. Just put it into perspective, he's 63 down on Will Brown. Brown, if he wins the race, there's 40 there. O'Keefe, he's P5, there's 26. So he loses 14, and if my maths from my days at St. Pat's College are anything to go by, which I don't think they're that good, but 77 points will be the margin, which is, considering there's 50 up for grabs in the final race this afternoon, means that it's by no means over and done, but you don't lose massive chunks of points when you finish 4 or 5 positions behind, like you do in some other series.
We've got tech everywhere here in the Combox. You went old school and did it manual then. Well done on your calculations. Let's get more from Cam.
So the update with Tim Brook, guys, you saw that flat front right. I looked for any damage. It was actually from just dropping the wheel off on the exit of turn 10.
Speaking of dropping the wheel off, still some aggression through that part of the track from Will Brown. We go back to Heimgartner, Ingle, D'Alberto. They're all fighting there. Ingle in position 8. Heimgartner is 7th. And look at that, Martin's dropped back. John Martin, position number 9. So that's a good battle unfolding there, as we often see in TCR. We can get these battle packs. Back to Cameron, fighting with Nathan Morecambe for that 3rd spot. And they've got a little bit of a gap now, a couple of car lengths over Dylan O'Keefe. So here's D'Alberto and Martin. Just thought we might have seen a Honda fighting with the likes of Brown this weekend at Winton. They were pretty confident coming in at this venue that would really suit them.
John Martin's had a win this year, one at the Ben Motorsport Park, but Tony D'Alberto has been knocking on the door. He's been on the podium a couple of times at Sydney Motorsport Park and once at Queensland Raceway, but he's sort of been in that 4th, 5th, 6th fight more often than he's been in the 1, 2, 3 fight. So the Civics at the moment at the tail of the top end, at the top 10 I should say, D'Alberto, Martin, and this is Jordan Cox, car number 7. So he's worked his way forward, position 10, and started 17th. So he's been able to make some ground and hook onto the back of this crew. Will Brown, meanwhile, is in another postcode. He's somewhere down in Benalla at the moment. 5.79 seconds is the margin back to Jason Bright, who in turn has 1.3 seconds back to Nathan Morecambe.
Look at the sprint style of racing we have in this series. Qualifying is and the progressive grid format. The qualifying is super important. In Jordan Cox's case, they were too low in the tyre pressures on the first set when they were chasing that Astron Tech pole position, too high on the second set, and that really wounded him. And you're playing catch up from there, aren't you?
You don't get another chance to re-qualify in TCR Australia, so you do it once and then you've got to fight your way forward in the races. I kind of like how we go back to this system that we had in lots of other categories over the years. I do like re-qualifying to jumble it all up again, but at least this rewards consistent weekend. You do it right from the start and you keep it going all the way through, you get a really good reward.
Look at that Astra, 3-wheeling in the hands of Andre Heimgartner. Morecambe and Cameron, it's become a battle of 2 in that fight for 3rd place. As you saw there, they've pulled clear a little of Dylan O'Keefe as we ride with Aaron Cameron now. Good job in that VW Golf GTI. View inside the Melbourne Performance Garage. Eric Pender there to the left. Some great minds in that team from GT Racing to TCR.
And you'll notice too with the Volkswagen as we ride on board with Aaron Cameron using the paddle shift, but the stick shift is there in these TCR cars. More often than not, drivers are using the paddles because you don't have to take your hand off the steering wheel. I think you're right. The fight for 3rd, that's where the fight is. Morecambe and Cameron for that final podium position. Heimgartner here in the Astra with Russell Ingle. These Astras, they race as Opals overseas. They're Holdens here in Australia, run by Kelly Racing. So a bit of a re-link of the Lion logo on a Kelly Racing run car. We've got a drama here coming out of turn 2. One of the Renaults, I think it's Chris Pither, has a major drama. We'll get a shot of it shortly, but he's out of the car and has had a decent, solid.
Has that lost the back window? I reckon he might have made contact somewhere. As the back, he's fuming too. Chris is fuming. Now, is there damage to the left front?
I think there's damage to the whole left side there, and I reckon he's bounced off the fence. On the exit of turn 2, it's right in front of our commentary position. Here's Russell Ingle in 7th, putting the pressure on Andre Heimgartner. I wouldn't mind betting we see the safety car because Pither's abandoned his Renault and stepped out into the old pit lane here, and his car's just off the race circuit on driver's right on the approach to turn 3 and not far off the track at all.
Fellow Kiwi Andre Heimgartner's got his hands full with Russell Ingle. We drift back and look at John Martin and Jordan Cox in the second of the Alfa Romeos. Liam McAdam trying to find his way into the top 10. He started in grid position 10 for this one. Will Brown has eked out an advantage of 7.2 seconds. He is flying.
That margin is coming down though. He took it very steady through this section of the circuit. On the left of screen is where the Renault is sitting at the moment. It's a yellow flag zone and Brown went much slower, 3 seconds slower than Jason Bright through that sector.
It's now down to 4.6 seconds. Good observation there.
Car off the road too. Jordan Cox has got a drama. The Alfa Romeo has slipped off the road. No, it's Dylan O'Keefe. Dylan O'Keefe's got drama. The Alpha's been off the road on the exit turn 4. Ingle and Heimgartner in it. Yep, this is what we needed to pick up. The Alpha's got an issue. Now, they've had turbo pipe issues with this car earlier in the weekend. I'm not sure if this has got anything to do with it, but I picked him up out of our commentary box running slowly, like I thought he maybe had been off the road, but this is huge drama. We talked about this being a series-defining weekend, and this might just have completely changed it to a way that we weren't thinking.
Massive blow. It was a tough weekend last time out for Will Brown. He's been ultra consistent across the rest of the events at banking solid points. Maybe now his nemesis is having a difficult one. What has gone wrong for Dylan O'Keefe, who plunges down the leaderboard 15th right now? We might try and get some more on this topic. Let's quickly go to Cam.
I'm trying to chase that one down at the moment. They're wheeling a tyre out into the lane here, Barry Hay. It looks like it's going to be a front right. I have a feeling when we see the car come out. So there's a spare wheel about to go onto the front of Dylan O'Keefe. In the meantime, there's no report from Chris Pither as to what happened on that car. But in the meantime, Mock is showing amazing pace. Top 4 or 5 cars out there. So good signs there. But as you mentioned before, Rusty, the progressive grid really hurting that team.
There's a report, Cam, that perhaps the GRM Renaults have come together. We haven't got that fully clarified, but I wouldn't mind betting if Cam or Emma can go and have a chat to the guys at GRM, they'll give you the story there on what's going on. And it's interesting stuff, because Chris Pither was pretty angry when he stepped out of that car, which is still sitting off to the side of the road. There's Tim Brooke, who has got that tyre replaced and back out there in the Honda. Here's the other Honda Civic type R's, D'Alberto and Martin. Positions 7 and 8. Here's O'Keefe, second in the series points, 4 race wins this year, and steering on into pit lane. There is the Bryce Fullwood Subaru.
As you pointed out, it was a clamp, wasn't it, on one of the intercooler pipes for Dylan O'Keefe earlier in the weekend. Fullwood had that drive shaft issue yesterday in the Subaru, so work going on here, and the attention is on the left front there. So we ride with him here. Let's just see if the onboard gives us some clarity. You can see him there trying desperately to pull the car up. It ventures off the circuit. It's obviously already blown at that point, or damaged. And another broken axle we're hearing potentially for Bryce Fullwood.
Oh, wow. Broken drive shaft yesterday. Axle, he's got driveline stuff going left, right and centre in that Subaru. We've also got a report of Tony D'Alberto struggling with bent steering in his Honda, which would explain why he hasn't really been much of a factor. There's the Bryce Fullwood Subaru, Todd Kelly in the window. And on screen, the fight for the final podium spot. Well, this has been going for the majority of this race. So it's go time now for Aaron Cameron. 3 laps to go. His 3rd podium of the season is on the line here if he can get by the number 11 Hyundai. Will Brown leads by 5.8 seconds back to Jason Bright. Talk about interest and drama. There's going to be plenty to talk about in the gap between these 2 races, where the cars will go into a parc fermé, so a closed park area where they can't have any work done on them, and then it's hurry-flurry to get things sorted. There's the Michelin tyre. Straight to the technician to see what's going on here.
For Trevor Schumacher, I couldn't spot it from Michelin tyres. My mind is still blown noons by that effort from Will Brown. Fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 24.89. 24s, you're talking almost qualifying pace there. Back with Nathan Morecambe, fighting with Aaron Cameron, and that's the 3rd.
Good fight for this podium. This has been a good fight all throughout the course of the race. Ingle sits in P5. Heimgartner sits in P6. D'Alberto, Martin, Cox and Liam McAdam. That's your top 10 here at Winton Motor Raceway. One more race to go this afternoon in round 5. And Morecambe's just been able to get away here from Aaron Cameron. Nathan Morecambe, the former Australian Endurance Champion GT cars a few years ago. He's running Super 2. He's been in production cars with his good mate Chaz Mostert. And Aaron Cameron lifting that rear tyre on this run onto the back straight at Winton Motor Raceway. But Will Brown's on target for race win number 5 this year in the HMO Customer Racing I-30N. One more race this afternoon, so when the checkered flag falls on this one, don't go anywhere. We've got plenty of stories to tie up and figure out from this very interesting race too. We need to get to the bottom of a few of them to find out just what's unfolded here. There's a story for just about every driver, every team, at every car. Will Brown, 16 laps down, 2 to go. He's built that margin back out to Jason Bright. It's 7.1 seconds. There's the work at Kelly Racing, trying to get Bryce Fullwood back onto the road. He's done, 12 laps now, so they're trying to get him back on the road and at least get to the finish line. Morcombe's been able to get away here from Aaron Cameron, who was on the last deals to get done before the first round of Sydney Motorsport Park. Here's the tail of the top 10. Liam McAdam, P10 in that blue Audi. Here's John Martin. Contact yesterday with Will Brown, fighting for the lead. Flat tyre on his car. Had to pit, got going again, and finished down the back of the field. So he's worked his way through in this race. He's got to position 8 with his teammate Tony D'Alberto just up in front. Of course, D'Alberto, endurance driver these days in the supercars. He'll team up with Fabian Coulthard later in the year. Leanne Tander on board the number 3 Audi this weekend, right behind her new teammate in Liam McAdam, the former Super 3 Series champ from 2015, who spent some time in Super 2 and Toyota 86. This is his first time at the wheel of the Audi RS3. We jump on board with the young Queenslander. This is the car that Garth Tander drove earlier in the year, and this is for the podium. Aaron Cameron gets it done at turn 11. The young Victorian has got the Volkswagen Golf through for the Melbourne Performance Centre team. So while the Audis have struggled, the young gun in the Golf has got his way up there to a podium position. 1 lap to go at Winton. The question is, can he hang on now? He was 3rd at Phillip Island. He was 3rd at Queensland Raceway. He had another podium at the Bend, but a post-race penalty took the trophy away from him. But he's got the job done here and just needs to bring it home. Final time through the sweeper here at Winton Motor Raceway, round 5, race 2 in the car sales TCR Australia Series. Look at the way that the rear tyre just completely comes up off the deck. They certainly wave to the crowd and save on the rear tyres. Hearing too, there's some driveline issues for Molly Taylor in the other Subaru. Her final weekend of TCR before she moves back to her rallying commitments. We'll miss Molly for the final 2 rounds. We haven't missed this guy though. Well, we've sort of missed him in a way. He's been out the front. There's Molly Taylor out of the car and will not be a finisher in this race. This guy is, though, Will Brown. He is the finisher of TCR. Final turn, big margin. He's going to chalk up another race win. Dylan O'Keefe there's got rolling again. He'll be 15th when he comes back around to finish his race. But it's Will Brown who picks up the win in race 2 at Winton Motor Raceway and extends that lead in the series. Big winning margin in the end. Really controlled the race. 7.9 seconds in an 18-lap race. Jason Bright on the podium again. His 3rd podium of the season. And Aaron Cameron in the closing laps got to position 3 for his 3rd podium of the TCR Australia Series. Checkered flag flies here at Winton. Plenty of action, plenty of drama, plenty of interest, and we've got one more race to come this afternoon. Make sure you stay with us here on SBS. Let's take a look at how they finished in race 2. Hyundai in position 1, the Volkswagens in 2-3, then Nathan Morecambe 4th from Russell Ingall, Andre Heimgartner, Tony D'Alberto, John Martin, Jordan Cox from the back of the grid tonight, and Liam McAdam rounded out the top 10. On board, the number 97 Audi RS3. Plenty of stories, plenty of things to update you on. Stay with us here at Winton. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Back at Winton Motor Raceway with the car sales TCR Australia Series Race 2 Round 5 of the series is complete. Some happy drivers, some unhappy drivers. Greg Russ is with some happy drivers in the lane.
You bet, Noons. Number 1 right in front of the HMO Customer Racing I-30N of Will Brown. And it wasn't just the race win you were chasing here, was it? You had margin. Wow.
Yeah, it was great. The car was awesome, and trying to get another one of those wins. We had a bit of a tough run at Ipswich, so it's great to give the guys a win, and they gave me a great car, so no, it was awesome.
Car was dynamite from the get-go, and you pushed it hard. Clearly you're not wanting to preserve this championship lead. As you said to us yesterday, it's about race wins, isn't it?
Well, if you're winning races, then you're extending the championship lead, so that's what we're trying to do. It's still early in the season. We've got a fair few races left, so we're just going for race wins right now and having fun.
All right, we're about to give you the trophy. You enjoy that. Yet another one to add to the bank.
Cheers.
Just before we move on here very quickly, no changes. Car's all good for the final?
Oh, I think it was pretty good, so we'll leave it, I reckon.
Good. I reckon leave a good thing
Cheers,
alone.
yeah.
There he is, Will Brown. Good job. Second position and yet another podium for Alliance Autosport. Enjoy that, Jason Bright. Great stuff. You're having a terrific weekend here at Winton, aren't you?
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, Will was a little bit too quick then. He was much stronger in the first couple of laps than what we were, and put himself in a good position to get past us. But once we sort of got some rear tyre temp, we were all right. But I couldn't sort of hold him out that first couple of laps.
Start seemed to be key, and it looked as though he wasn't too bad off the line, but in that kind of second phase, your thing really gripped up, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably one of my better starts, and I sort of, needed to make a good one then to at least have a chance. And we both sort of got a reasonable jump. I thought he had the edge on me the first little bit, and then, I think the next little bit, our sort of clutch release was a little bit better. So hopefully we can make a good one this one and lead into turn 1 again.
Cool. No changes?
No, I think so. No, I mean we changed a couple little things for that race, only to sort of put numbers back to where we, started, because it sort of, copped a bump here and there, but, nothing that I think sort of cost us then. So, see how we go.
Good on you. Enjoy that trophy. We've got one more to hand over. Position number 3, and he had to work for it too. Aaron Cameron, well done, and it was a great fight at the finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate, I thought he was never going to make a mistake, and Nathan did a great job, and yeah, we kept the pressure on all race, and eventually just made that slight little error and we were able to capitalise on it. So yeah, absolutely pumped for the team, and yeah.
Well done to you and the NPC team. Could you sense that Nathan was starting to struggle and you might have a chance?
Yeah, it was fast at stages. I backed off mid-race just to try and give my tyres a breather, which worked, and then yeah, the last 2-3 laps he was starting to make a few more mistakes, and yeah, I gave him a few bumps here and there just to let him know I was there, but I think he already knew. So, yeah, just pumped for the team, and to get a podium is absolutely awesome on Father's Day.
Well done. What a turnaround from a difficult Saturday. Any changes to this car for the third and final race of the weekend?
No, we'll just chuck some new tyres on the front and send it. I reckon we've got pace to beat Bridie, but we're just going to get off the start and hopefully get another one of these soon.
Good on you. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Cam?
I'm down at Gary Rogers Motorsport, and it feels like I've been here too much this weekend. Brew Beasley, you look after the TCR program for GRM. That telltale sign on Moff's car suggests the friendly fire did happen. We may not have footage of it, but can you confirm that they've gone into each other?
Yeah, look, it looks like he's gone down the middle. Jordan was on the outside and he got sandwiched, and the rest is history, really. So 2 and 3 don't really go, do they? Well, 3 and 2? Yeah, so it's not too bad. It's a little bit damaged. It's got a bit of toe issue, but it's going all right and it's safe, so we'll just press on.
Speaking about Jordan Cox, going from 17th to 9th is pleasing. Moff's pace as well, top 4 or 5. It hurts coming from the back, though, at Winton.
It does, but it just proves we actually got on top of it last night. We had some pretty big issues, which we sorted out, so we got on top of that. Jordan's done a great job. He made a mistake yesterday, paid the price, did a really good job today, and he's in the top 10, so that's really pleasing for us.
And just quickly, no one's working on the cars as part of the regulations. Take us through what you need to do and what limitations you've got between now and the next race.
So the reality is now we've got a parc fermé period. When the car's released, we've got 20 minutes work time. Only 2 guys can work on the car at once. So effectively what we'll do is we'll go through the basics, make sure nothing's falling off, everything's tight, change tyres, do any setup changes the engineers want, and then we've got to go again. So really in 20 minutes you don't get a lot to do. It's just a matter of get the basics, send it again and go racing.
Thank you very much, Bruin. Well, while we settle down and get ready for race 3, let's check in with Aaron Noonan and the season so far.
With 4 rounds and 12 races down in the car sales TCR Australia Series, there's plenty of numbers to consider as we head into round 5 at Winton. So far this year, 6 different drivers have taken race victories, and of them, it's 4 wins apiece to title combatants Will Brown and Dylan O'Keefe. 5 different brands of cars have won races so far this season. Volkswagen, Hyundai, Alfa Romeo, Audi and Honda. In terms of the Astron-Tech pole positions, honours have been evenly split, with 4 different drivers and 4 different cars collecting the cash. Tony D'Alberto's Honda grabbed pole at round 1 in Sydney, O'Keefe's Alfa at Phillip Island, James Moffat's Renault at the Bend, and Frenchman Jean-Carl Vinet's Audi in Queensland. All up, 25 different drivers have competed in this year's series, with 13 of them scoring at least 1 podium finish. Points leader Will Brown has 8 podiums from 12 races. Title challenger Dylan O'Keefe has 7, with 3 to Garth Tander, Russell Ingall and Tony D'Alberto. Brown and D'Alberto remain the only drivers with a perfect 100% race finishing record. However, no drivers completed all 188 laps of racing. O'Keefe's Alfa has spent the most time out front, leading nearly half of the race laps held, 91 of 188. A total of 746.26 kilometres has been covered in 12 races. But with 3 rounds to go, the title of Car Sales TCR Australia Series champion is a long way from being decided.
You two have not stopped talking in the lead up to this interview. I want a sense of how this teammate relationship works, because clearly you're introverted, quiet types, aren't you?
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
We've loved it. We've been together for the last 3 years almost now.
Yeah,
so It's been a good relationship.
Had to share a room most of the last 2 years, but I got out of it this year. He snores pretty bad, so cut out of that. But no, it's been good. We've loved every second of it. We raced Super 2 together and stepped over to this and joined the HMO Customer Racing team this year and loving every second of it. TCR Australia have done a great job and the Hyundais have been awesome.
Life away from the track, and you have been spending it off terra firma. You are flying in the skies. Tell us about that.
Yeah, hopefully I'll stay here for a while. It's been a bit scary. No, it's been good. I'm loving it. It's something away from the track, and who knows where it could lead to. But
my brother's a full-time pilot, and so I thought I'd get into it and get my pilot's licence. So enjoying it so far, and like I say, we go out for a burn most Arvos and have fun.
Would you ever get in the plane with him?
Probably not, to be honest. I see his high car driving skills, especially that rally bit we did the other month. Oh, no.
The amount of people I've actually that have said they won't come up with these, yeah, it's a bit offensive, really.
He's running a bit of ink. Would you ever get a tat of some kind?
I get cut out of the will if I get a tat. That's part of my dad's thing. So yeah, I might not get one. Maybe after he's gone, I'll get one. That's good.
It's been a super year, lads. What's the ultimate goal here? Can you do it, do you reckon? Can you walk away with the title in the first year?
Yeah, I reckon we definitely can. Nathan, from the start of the year, you're back up to a 4th in the championship, is it? And we're leading, and we've had one down round out of the first 4, so we can bring it back up. And I think we can get at least both of us in the top 3 for the year, which is going to be pretty cool. It's great for Hyundai and great for HMO Customer Racing for their first year.
Have a fantastic weekend here, boys.
Thank you.
Yeah, great fun, aren't they, the Hyundai drivers, Will Brown and Nathan Morecambe, and they've had a good run today, 1st and 4th in the last race. We're getting ready for the final race of the day. Greg Rust is in the lane.
And Noons, these big clocks for Gary Rogers Motorsport tell the story for all the crews. Coming up to 2 p.m. local, 2:15, they need to exit the lane. That is when pit lane closes now. They have the car, it's come off the flatbed for Chris Pither. He's saying right now that he doesn't want to talk. We'll try and eyeball him and get a sense of that in a second. Can we have a word? We're not sure yet. Moff, can we dive in here and perhaps get your viewpoint? How did the race go, and what's the debrief?
Apart from being backwards before I even made the front row of the grid at the start.
That was a wild onboard ride for those that saw it. What happened?
Yeah, I actually got a good start and then went to sort of go in the middle of the Opal and the Alpha next to me, and then I saw the gap was quickly closing, so I tried to get out of it and then just clipped the right or the left rear of the Opal, and it set me up into the air and into the infield. So it was a less than ideal start, and then I was hoping for a safety car, but it didn't happen, and just trucked along for the rest of the race.
Righto, you're a bit of a croaky throat there. I know you've been battling sort of the flu. You're feeling all right?
Oh, as good as you can when you sound like this, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cam?
Yeah, I've got Molly Taylor here with me at the moment. Now, Mol, car drive shaft, we believe. I think that's a road car out the back that you've grabbed a bit of, and you've gone full rally style. You were under the car yourself working on it. It's amazing when you've got a bit of mechanical knowledge too, isn't it?
Yeah, well, in rallying, if you're out in the bush, there's no one you can really call on. So, when it gets a bit tight, then it's all hands on deck. But, yeah, not many cars you can just get the road version out and it'll go into a race, so it's pretty impressive.
It is, and I mean, that shows what TCR cars are all about. It really is quite close to the production cars, but it's been a challenging run, hasn't it? We're in the last day of your season with us. Probably not the best way to go out.
Yeah, look, it seems to be a theme every weekend, so we've got to stick to that. I'm just having heaps of fun out there and learning, and we got most of the race Ks in, which for me, it's about kilometres. So we missed a couple of laps, and we didn't get the result, but it was more for me about the laps and last race and have a bit of fun.
Looks like that car's about to go back out. One more thing, though. This is probably the last chance I'm going to get to interview you for this season. Circuit racing, thumbs up?
I really enjoyed it. It's a huge buzz, so different and challenging in a completely different set of ways. But, massive buzz when you're out there with the whole field. It's pretty cool.
Thanks, Mol.
Thanks.
Invariably, when you try and stitch together a series win, there's consistency required, but most drivers will have a tough outing somewhere. That was one for you, Dylan O'Keefe. What happened?
Yeah, had a not so great start, lost a couple of spots, but we're trucking along all right in 5th there for a while, going with Morecambe and Cameron, but with about 6 laps to go, just started to keep dropping back, and then it finally let go. Had a slow leak, I think it was, with the left front tyre, so really disappointing. I mean, the whole aim for this weekend was to close the gap to Will in the championship. Unfortunately, it's been an up and down weekend, so we still finished. We got some points, I think we got 40 points, but he still extended the margin, so I won't worry about that anymore. Just go out there now, try and salvage some good points. You never know what can happen.
You're a serious racer by nature. I know that, mate. I can tell from the discussions you've been having with Ash and with Barry. How much has this one hurt? How much has it wounded you?
I mean, it does hurt because you want to try and have a clean weekend, and we definitely haven't this one. So after this, we've still got 2 rounds. You never know what can happen. I mean, we won't give up. Will's got to have some bad luck at some stage. We've had 2 DNFs and now this, so we'll see what happens. Keep pushing, worry about our own thing, try and make up some places in this next one and have a good crack.
I reckon full gas. Watch this guy in the final race, Cam.
I've got a couple of drivers standing down here getting ready for race 3. Andre Heimgartner did a good job there. I know you'd expect a little bit more, but I guarantee you're ragging that thing.
Yeah, we're trying different things. We went back to the setup we had in qualifying and tuned up the tyre pressures, but it went the other way, so they're ballooning out. But the car wasn't too bad, so we'll just fine-tune it from here, chuck down a Powerade and have another go. And
Bryce Fullwood, don't go away, because I'm going to have a chat with you both at the moment. Bryce Fullwood, a bit of a shame, a drive shaft issue on both of the Subarus, but mate, you got nothing to lose now, do you? You just go out and send it.
Well, I sort of had that opinion in that race too, because I broke a drive shaft in the first race. So we've run out of drive shafts now, so they're actually trying to rip one out of Molly's road car to put in her car. So yeah, look, hopefully we get a race out of it. It was a real bummer. It was only 4 laps from the end that it broke, but having a lot of fun, and it's certainly a challenge.
Subaru executives, it's not your car, don't worry. That's right, it's not there, it's just one that we found in the car park. Anyway, Andre, quickly, mate, I know you switched from the Subaru to the Astra. How different are those two cars to compare?
Yeah, very different. I've actually driven a lot of the cars up and down pit lane, the Golfs, all that sort of stuff, but yeah, these are very similar to the other cars, the Holden Astras, but yeah, the Subaru is very different. Obviously a bigger car, not quite as well built, so they're a bit clunkier. Still can achieve some sort of speed out of it, but yeah, we're just having issues with the reliability of those, and then obviously these, we're just starting to tune them and sort of find out where these windows are.
And Bryce, just quickly from you, last question with you as well. You've driven lots of different cars. We've seen you in Aussie racing cars, and we've seen you in supercars and other things as well. I know the experience has been a bit disrupted so far, but there's a lot of promise in this category, isn't there?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think the coolest part to take away from all of this is, the amount of manufacture of cars you've got here. They've all got strengths and weaknesses, which is pretty cool. So obviously this is the first Subaru I've actually driven. But yeah, look, I think it's got legs and could be a pretty cool thing.
Mate, well, we'll hopefully see you out here in 2020 and maybe another couple of races, but in the meantime, let's check in with Rusty.
While the active work continues in the pit lane, the Gary Rogers Motorsport crew have wheeled car 33 in. It would seem that Chris Pither is definitely out of this one. What's the damage assessment, Bass?
Yeah, front left, sort of all the steering, suspension components on the front left, just quite fixable, but, it's probably an hour and a half's work. So in the 20 minutes we won't get it done, but get it back together and march on to Sandown in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's a real shame. You guys have worked enormously hard this weekend. He's a quietly spoken guy by nature. He doesn't want to talk to us right now. Yeah. What can you tell us about it and why he's so seething?
Oh, look, he's probably a bit upset with himself. Look, he made a mistake going into turn 2, sort of just understeered in there and collected the wall and that's in. So, look, I'm sure, Chris is a perfectionist like all these guys. But they will make mistakes, so he's made a bit of a mistake. He'll move on. We'll all move on. There we go.
Good on you, Baz. Thank you, mate. Cheers. Noons?
Yeah, it's a real shame for Chris Pither. It's been a tough year, and as we saw from that in-car vision, no contact between the GRM cars, as we may have been told earlier on. Good news here for the HMO customer racing team. They're good to go for race 3, but one of the critical parts of these cars is the brakes. Cameron Vanderduggen takes a look at the stoppers of TCR.
One of the stories of the weekend at Queensland Raceway were issues with brakes. Now, there's 2 parts to that story. One, the brake pads, which most of the teams experienced issues with, and the other, the brake rotors, which Dylan O'Keefe, one of our series contenders, really struggled with. But before we go into detail, let's have a look at the size difference between a front brake rotor and a rear. You can clearly see by the size differential there, as well as the venting throughout the top, that the front brake is doing all of the work. In fact, many of the teams have talked about the ability to put your hand on the rear disc at the end of a qualifying session, which is completely unheard of. So, let's look at this brake rotor from Dylan O'Keefe in his Alfa Romeo. If you mentioned before the venting through here, which is where they flow the air through from the ducting on the front to try and keep the brake temperature down from overheating. Now, the crack happened here at the top of one of these vents and came about halfway down the disc. They found it at the end of the race on Saturday, changed over rotors for Sunday, but it meant that he had to bed in new rotors on the way to the grid ahead of race 2 at Queensland Raceway. Let's talk pads now, which is where the leading edge starts to wear more than the trailing edge of that brake pad. The contact point being against the rotor, and you can see that leading edge was eating away and wearing further. We saw taper of up to 2 mil on the cars of Dylan O'Keefe and some of the other drivers. James Moffat particularly was concerned about that wear level on the front or leading edge of his brake pad. It was a challenge they faced. They had to rotate throughout the course of the weekend, but every driver said when they were following close behind other cars, they felt the pedal go long, which really detracts from your confidence in a session. The challenge here at Winton, probably not as high because the ambient temperature will be lower, but none of the teams are leaving anything to chance, and they've really worked on their ducting and making sure that these brakes will be able to stay as cool as possible for as long as possible.
One of the really cool things about the TCR series is the variety of makes and the direct DNA between race car and road car. For the Winton round of the Shannon's Nationals, we're going to take in some of the beautiful Victorian high country with three of the best and the guns who know how to race them. Sadly, they've drawn us as passengers.
Yeah, they have, but I'm really looking forward to this. I've got the Renault Megane RS, new car, Formula One inspired, and certainly the best of the three cars here.
I didn't know that Van den Duggan was French. How's your Italian?
Yeah, not a Francesco. I chose the Alfa Romeo Giulietta Veloce. You know what Veloce means, Rusty? It means fast. Plus it's red, so I'm thinking that'll make it go even faster.
And two blokes with perfect hair in the Honda Civic Type R.
So we're in the Renault Megane RS Cup EDC edition. This road car is pretty similar to the TCR car.
Absolutely. I feel right at home.
It's a very good looking car. What can you tell us about this car?
It is a 5-door hatch, similar to what we have in the race car.
Obviously, it's a really nice handling car. It's a little bit raw. Yeah. You know, it's handles corners nicely, but just to have it manual again, you know.
The guys at Car Sales in their review described it as like a tiger on the loose.
Yeah, definitely. I can see exactly why they're saying that.
This is our homemade salami that we can eat on the way.
Thank you very much.
What's with Italians always having to bring their own food?
Yeah, always homemade.
Always.
And this is some homemade limoncello. Have you listened to Italian music before?
No.
Do you think that's some good road tripping music?
Get me in the vibe.
Alright, let's get into the mood. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. Amore means?
No.
You're terrible.
What's it mean?
It means love.
Love. I don't worry about love, just worry about going fast.
So, in the Honda team, when you're travelling to the track in the Type R road car like this, who drives, who's in charge of tunes or podcasting, etc., what happens?
I think if we had our choice, it would be Wally driving.
Yep.
Johnny Martin doing the tune, and I'd be just on my phone just surfing Instagram or something.
Okay.
That's how it would be, I reckon.
The car has to be set at 21.
Is that
That's
it?
my
Is that the rule?
Whether it's hot or cold.
Well, look, I'm gonna go against you, and I'm gonna go for about 26.
You're wearing a jacket.
I'm freezing.
What music does Tony D'Alberto listen to when he drives? Come on.
We're getting into the snow now. Look at this. Oh, there's toboggan clothing. We can go tobogganing.
Good, huh?
This is meant to ride a lot better.
Hey, Tony. Tony, do you want to go tobogganing? They've got one your size.
Have you got a helmet? I'm a bit worried about Emma. Actually, I'm probably more worried about Dylan, to be honest, but it could eliminate one of the competition. Now, I will be assessing your driving.
What's Rusty's nickname? Thruster. No, he's got another nickname. Safety Sam is what his nickname is.
Sam. Take the brake off. That's a good start.
Good start. Now, if you could ever find someone that was the exact opposite of a Safety Sam, would it look like Emma?
Whoa.
Easy, Tony.
Just Antenna's gone.
Oh, shit. Oh, stop it!
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We apologise for the little glitch there. Great fun had in the Victorian High Country with our drivers.
Just a little bit too much fun by the looks of things.
Got hit by a decent snowball if I...
3 times I counted.
Yeah. Anyway, Frank, it hasn't affected my memory, so we're okay. Let's get some updates from the grid. Here's Cam.
Well, I got race 2 winner Will Brown ready to get in the car now. Your title rival in Dylan O'Keefe had a shocker of a race there. Does that change your mindset going into this next race? Just going for race wins, or are you actually starting to conserve a bit for this series win?
Yeah, that's really disappointing for him. You never want to extend the championship lead that way, but we've been really fast, and like I say, I'm going for race wins. We'll sort the championship out at the last round. If you, like I said before, if you're winning races, well, you're leading the championship, aren't you?
The big question I've got for you now, in the way the tyres roll out, are you going to have enough tyres for this race, or do you think a couple of these guys might have saved a nicer set up their sleeve for race 3?
Yeah, they might have actually. We've used all our tyres, so we'll soon wait and find out. But I think Bridie said he used a set of greens, so if he didn't in the first race, he might have something for me, that's for sure. So wait and see what happens.
Good luck, Will, but let's check in with Emma.
Cheers.
Leanne Tander, I know you've been a bit hard on yourself this weekend, starting just outside the top 10. What's your strategy for this one?
Yeah, look, move forward. That's the starting point, and just try and I guess get the pace out of the car that I know is there. I got a reasonable start in the race 2, but my tyres were just a bit cold for a bit too long, and then I lost too many spots. So hopefully this time we'll be able to attack a bit earlier on, and see where I end up.
Go get him, Cam.
I've got Nathan Morecambe, another one of the Hyundai drivers. These cars seem to be rapid around here, mate. Nathan, nearly on the podium as well.
Yeah, nearly on the podium. Had a good fight with Aaron Cameron. Just sort of made a mistake 2 laps ago. We're just going to get a blinder start again and hopefully pass both these two before turn 1.
These Hyundais, they go very well around Winton. Do you have the tyres up your sleeve to potentially contend for a race win here?
Yeah, I reckon we do. And we've saved some, so we got greens on. So I think most of the other boys have got it too, but there's a couple guys out there that used it up yesterday in quali and race 1.
Thank you, good luck, and I'm going to quickly start to make my way off the grid. We're not far away from getting set for the Car Sales TCR Australia Series race number 3. Will Brown's used up all his tyres. Jason Bright's used up all his tyres. You just heard it there, Nathan Morecambe. He's got a set of greens on the front to start this race. 2-minute signal. I've got to clear the grid. Let's go up to Aaron and Greg.
Cam, thank you. Watch for Dylan O'Keefe as well. Out of grid position number 15. His engineer, Barry Hay, said to me just moments ago, he's told him, drop the hammer. Line out of Days of Thunder, and he reckons he's going to be on the radio to him every couple of laps. Get those elbows out. He wants the Spider-Man, Peter Parker we call him, Dylan O'Keefe, to get those elbows out and race hard in the Alpha in this one.
He's going to have to drop more than one hammer. He's going to have to drop about 20 of them because he's 93 points behind in the series now to Will Brown. Let's have a look at the highlights of race 2 of the weekend earlier today. James Moffat didn't make it to the start-finish line before he was spinning off the road. Some contact there with Hamish Ribberts trying to thread the needle, and the Renault was spinning around. The Megane got going again. He managed to finish in position number 12. Change for the lead on lap 2. Will Brown got down the inside at turn 3 on Jason Bright, and that was as close as they got to car number 30. The series leader drove away for his 5th race win of the 2019 season in TCR Australia. Jason Bright led the fight, and it was more a fight for third. Nathan Morecambe and Aaron Cameron were in quite the battle. John Martin, I should say, in the Honda with Russell Ingall in the Audi. They fought at the tail of the top 10, but out front, Will Brown was the man. Molly Taylor, Alexandra Whitley, contact yesterday. It was all a little more civil in this one.
The VW Golf GTIs look pretty handy, though, around here, don't they? Russell Ingall, he was racing in the Castrol number 100. He'll start out of grid position number 5. Watch for the Enforcer to fight for a podium. This is what happened to O'Keefe. He said to us before this one, slow leak on that left front, battled to hang on to it, ultimately adventured off the circuit. He had to come into pit lane for service, and he's starting on the almost the third last row of the grid.
And this was the change for the final spot of the podium. A couple of laps to go. Nathan Morecambe made a little mistake at turn 11, and Aaron Cameron managed to pounce and slip on by, but Will Brown was too good. Out front, got the win. He starts from pole position as the cars now leave for the warm-up lap for the final race of the weekend in round 5 at Winton. And Will Brown now leads by 93 points back to Dylan O'Keefe. There are 50 on the line to win this race. For O'Keefe, the bigger problem is that he's dropped in second. The margin to third, Tony D'Alberto, is now just 38 points. There's every chance here that the Alpha driver might be more worried about dropping back to P3 than getting back to P1.
And there's a couple of youngsters around him who aren't worried about the championship mission. They've got their own objective. We've got Hamish Ribberts back in the series. He drove an Audi at Phillip Island. He's at the wheel of an Astra this weekend. He starts right in front of Dylan. Beside Dylan O'Keefe is Tim Brooke, making his first appearance in TCR in the Honda.
Massive well done to Kelly Racing. I just looked out our commentary box window. Those two Subarus of Molly Taylor and Bryce Fullwood have made the grid for this final race. Let's take a look at the way they line up for this final race. Will Brown on pole from Jason Bryant and Aaron Cameron. Then Nathan Morecambe and Russell Ingall. Andre Heimgartner qualified on the front row yesterday. He's been in the mid part of the top 10 ever since. The Hondas are next of D'Alberto, Martin, Jordan Cox in the Alpha, and Liam McAdam rounds out the top 10 in the Audi. Just behind him, Leanne Tander, teammate from Melbourne Performance Centre. James Moffat in the Renault, the only Renault that will start this final race. He starts from 12th, then Hamish Ribberts, Alexandra Whitley, Dylan O'Keefe, the Alpha from P15, Tim Brooke from 16th, and the Subarus, Molly Taylor and Bryce Fullwood on row 9. The non-starter, Chris Pitt of the Renault, too much damage in the earlier race from contact on the exit of turn 2, and the Kiwi will not start. It has been a miserable TCR year for him in the last few rounds.
You mentioned the Kelly Racing crew, Matty House and all of the guys that have worked so hard there. Well done. Why don't we say well done to all of the dads that work in pit lane. Happy Father's Day, and especially to all of our... A round has gone.
James Moffat on the warm-up lap has spun the Renault. Just when you thought the GRM's had a bad enough weekend as it is, and Moffat has spun on the warm-up lap on cold tyres and was facing the field. It fried my brain when I saw that, because it's the last thing you would expect to see on a warm-up lap is a car facing you coming around to line up for the grid. That's a new one.
Absolutely. And just to finish the point, a big thanks to all of our CAMS, Confederation of Australian Motorsport accredited officials and marshals working here this weekend on Father's Day. This is a replay of what happened to Moff on cold tyres. Remember, they're trying to warm them up. That's not ideal for James Moffat in the 34. Wow.
got the attention of the rest of the drivers.
And
Probably the last thing they were looking for as they were coming around to find their way to the grid. So race 3, round 5. After today, there's just 2 rounds and 3 races at Sandown and 3 races at the Ben Motorsport Park. That's the view from Cam's race control as we look out here at Winton Motor Raceway, getting set for the front row battle between Will Brown, the 21-year-old series leader, Jason Bright, the 1998 Bathurst champion. And there is Will Brown, ready to go, ready to rumble. 18 cars, Winton Motor Raceway, the car sales, TCR Australia Series. Thanks for joining us again here on SBS. Live coverage from Winton Motor Raceway. Green flag at the back. There's the 10-second board. We're good to go. Let's get the front wheels spinning. Let's spool up those turbos and get them racing into turn 1. Can Jason Bright hold on? No. What's going on here? The Volkswagen's not got going. Now he clears the zone. They managed to miss him on the run to turn 1. That could have been disaster, but it's the Hyundai out in front. Will Brown under fire from Aaron Cameron up the hill from turn 2. Cold Michelin tyres, and Brown is covering. Look in the background. Jordan Cox is flying through the field. Ingles in the fight as well. He's third and trying to fill the gap. They work their way through turn 4. Unbelievable start. One of the Hondas has dropped to the tail of the field. Boy, oh boy, what is going on? Jason Bright just did not get going. Was it the clutch? Was it the driver? Who knows? But the fact is, he's down the back of the field in position number 18.
We're hearing from Alliance Autosport that it may, in fact, as you alluded to, be some sort of clutch issue. We'll get confirmation from our team in pit lane. What a shame for Jason Bright, down now in position number 18. It's Will Brown from Aaron Cameron, Russell Ingall in the top 3 in the Castrol entry, and it was hard in the mouth stuff, I reckon, for Tony D'Alberto. The evasive action to avoid Bright after a ripper start in the Honda, that could have been chaos.
Really lucky to get away with that, all of them. John Martin down the back there fighting with the Subarus and with Tim Brook. Back at the front, Brown, Cameron, Ingall. Here's D'Alberto, P4. Jordan Cox, what a great start in the Alfa Romeo, working his way forward to try to put a bit of light on the day for GRM. It's been a pretty dark sort of a run for them this weekend. End of lap 1, the Alfa's going for the move. Down the inside at turn 1 on Tony D'Alberto. He's got the job done. The Alfa is through. There he is. Oh, no, he's not. He's off the road. There's contact with D'Alberto, and Cox is in the grass. Was that the curse of the commentator? Seemed like it.
Oh, we need to try and catch our breath here. Liam McAdam is up into position 7 in that blue Audi. Why don't we get a quick update from Emma in the lane? Go ahead.
Yeah, guys, just confirming the clutch boil, but it's all back and running. Jason Bright, ready to go again.
Okay, he's down the back though, Emma, so we'll see if he can work his way through. He needs a safety car to get him back in the game. Looking here at Liam McAdam with Nathan Morecambe, so he got shuffled back in that whole drama off the start line. Hamish Ribberett's putting a move on Alexandra Whitley, and Moffat runs in 7th. So the Renault was able to take its place back on the grid after that spin on the warm-up lap. Cox is off again. The Alfa's been out ploughing through the grass in the background. That's the smoke you could see as Morecambe now puts the pressure on Liam McAdam in the Audi. And there's Hamish Ribberetts. Where did he come from?
I reckon he's crossed over from the sweeper and rejoined there. So he's had a drama too in the Astra. Meantime, Liam McAdam is up into position number 5 in his debut weekend. Here he is in the 97, little loose there as he fights with Nathan Morecambe. Morecambe in 6th, James Moffat to P7. Little bit of positivity, little bit of sugar in that Renault Megane. 7th right now. Brown leading by 1.3 seconds over Aaron Cameron. There you go. Oh, it gets loose. The Golf GTI gets loose out of that corner. And that's all the incentive that Russell Ingall needs if he knows that Cameron's got a little bit of a struggle on.
Look at the background. Leanne Tander making moves. The Audi and Andre Heimgartner. That's for position 8. Martin down the inside. Bangs into the side of Alexandra Whitley on the way through. That was for 10th place. And now Ribberetts tries to put the Astra in the gap at turn 4 and shuffles the Golf. Teammates to Jason Bright. Back another position. We're on lap 3, Rusty. I don't think I can take this. 15 more to go and just sit down.
You're not alone. The story is series leader Will Brown out in front with more than 1.5 seconds up his sleeve over Aaron Cameron. Ingall eyeing off another trophy here in TCR. Will we see him at Sandown and Taylor Bend for the final round? He says he's working hard on it. So that's a watching brief, that one. Keep an eye on the Car Sales TCR Australia website for news on that in-between events. And of course, Sandown just a few weeks away. That is going to be huge here on SBS with the debut of S5000. Cannot wait.
And one of the biggest names in world motor racing of Formula One history, Rubens Barrichello, is coming to Australia for the debut of S5000. Of course, a winner with Ferrari so many times. An amazing era with Michael Schumacher, the Brazilian superstar. We'll be at Sandown in 3 weeks' time. Make sure you are too. The TCR series will be there. We'll need the 3 weeks to calm down after this race because it's been really good. Brown leads, 2.2 seconds back to Aaron Cameron. Then Russell Ingall, Delberto McAdam. There's Morecambe, Moffat, Tander and Heimgartner here. Martin and Riveritz. Leanne covering off at turn 3. Position 8. That's what they're fighting for in this little battle pack. Looks like Martin's Honda's okay after that contact with Alexandra Whitley. Now the race, after those first few laps, when everyone's trying to make a spot, get some warmth in their tyres, just settles for just a little moment here, but Tander's under pressure. Look at this queue of cars. Heimgartner's looking racy, trying to get the Astra up the inside, but he knows if he makes a move, he's vulnerable to the Honda, so the Astras are in the mix here, the 2 cars from Kelly Racing. Heimgartner round the outside on the Audi. That's a long way, but if he can keep the nose in, that's what he's done. He's going to get that spot. Martin now trying to follow through.
But Martin won't be ideally placed for turn 10. Little bit of hip and shoulder between Leanne Tander and John Martin. Tander hangs on to it. Nice work as they come down to the new extension, if we can call it that. It's been here for 20 years now, but they go from 10 towards 11 and then back past the pit lane off turn 12. Good job, Leanne Tander. Holds down position number 9. It's Brown with nearly 3 seconds up his sleeve. Man, this kid is just riding on confidence, isn't he?
And he's already gone faster, Rusty, in this race than he did in the previous race. He set a new lap record, a 1:24.51 out in front, leading the way. 3 seconds the margin. This is a good fight. John Martin covering off. Hamish Riveritz has got the Honda sideways on the way in. Had to mash the throttle to get out the other side. Whitley's in the fight here as well. O'Keefe's in the battle. He's got to be careful. He needs to get points back in this Alfa Romeo, but he cannot afford some contact here, and 0 points against his name.
Bang on, and I reckon that's the way he tackled that corner. He knew he didn't need to get into a skirmish with Alexandra Whitley, who's, you know, it's fantastic to have her as a part of this series, but she's on her own mission, isn't she? She's not worried about the championship in the way that O'Keefe is right now. 3.3 seconds between Brown and Cameron. That's for position. Tander versus John Martin. Martin should get it sealed. He does. And moves ahead. Picks up a spot up to 8th now.
Bit of debris there on the exit of the corner onto the back straight out of turn 9. But it's off the racing line, so that should be okay. This is Martin in position 8. Look at the Congo line. Tim Brooks at the back of it in the other Honda. He's made an impressive debut in TCR Australia. There he is, car number 38. Flat tyre earlier on in the race that dropped him down the back, but he's been really competitive. We'd love to have him back for a future round.
Got the Intimidator lights on as well as we go to pit lane. Jordan Cox is there in the Alfa Giulietta. So, main part of your screen, we continue to watch this awesome battle. Alexandra Whitley in the second of the Alliance Golfs there. Back to Liam McAdam. Underscore highlight. He had that wild ride to the grid a little bit earlier. This has been a great debut for him. Tested only recently for the Melbourne Performance Centre crew. Has been away doing university studies. Very busy in that regard. Has raced supercars and Toyota 86s. This is a solid performance from Liam McAdam.
He stepped into a good car too. This is the Audi that Garth Tander won a race in at the Ben Motorsport Park, and Jean-Carl Venet, the Frenchman, took pole in a race win at Queensland Raceway. He's under fire here from Nathan Morecambe to fight for positions 5 and 6.
His dad David said to me this morning, hopefully they can stitch something together for 2020. This is about learning the car, learning the category. Maybe they'll be a permanent fixture in 2020 as a part of Car Sales TCR Australia. Nathan Morecambe in 6th position, but it's his teammate leading the way with that fastest lap of the race. Crazy number, qualifying style pace, 1:24.37 from Will Brown and a 4.5 second advantage over Aaron Cameron. Can they catch the Toowoomba kid?
I reckon the question is that. The answer is probably not from what he's done this weekend. It was amazing to think until yesterday he'd not taken a pole position so far this year. McAdam's off the road on the exit of the final turn, and he has put it into the wall in the Audi. The left rear has bumped the concrete at the exit of turn 12 just when he was going so well in the top 5. There he is, and he's in drama.
and knows where reverse is. First time in the car for the weekend, but he knows how to get out of the place.
Pretty aggressive. Almost tried to do the stuntman style flick turn, didn't he? He's back in the game. Wonder how bad the damage is for the Audi. You can see some of the bodywork has come a bit loose there at the left rear.
Got some dramas here, Rusty. Turn 4, there's been some contact with Alexandra Whitley, who had a bump from Dylan O'Keefe, who's been trying to pass her for the last couple of laps. He had been down the inside at turn 3, and he stayed down the inside at turn 4, and Whitley was staying on the outside. There was some contact there. She's got going again, but lost a couple of spots, and now is under fire from Bryce Fullwood in the Subaru WRX. There is James Moffat in the Renault, who's been up and down the field a little this weekend. He's been facing forwards and facing backwards as well. Here's Tim Brooke, fighting for 10th place with Dylan O'Keefe. Leanne Tander, Hamish Ribberts, position 8 and 9. Ribberts drove for the Audi team, Melbourne Performance Centre, early in the year at Phillip Island. He drives in the Super 3 Series for Matthew White's team in one of the old Ford Performance Racing Falcons, and has done a really nice job this year after stepping it up from Formula Ford. He's a young gun to keep an eye on. We're approaching half race distance in this final race of the weekend at Winton. Emma's in the lane.
Yeah, guys, you'll see Jordan Cox is still stuck in pit lane. Broome Beasley, can you give us the update?
Jordan got a bit overzealous and had a bit of a go at turn 1 and ended up in the grass backwards, and he's filled the radiator intake with brass, and now it's just got hot. So while it's hot, it won't start. It's in limp mode, so we've just got to wait to cool it down, and it is what it is now.
Tough luck. Thanks, bro.
Thank you.
And while Em was chatting there, what a wild ride for Andre Heimgartner, who somehow Noons has managed to hang on to a 7th place at the moment in that 777 Astra. But John Martin is ahead of him in 6th, then Nathan Morecambe in 5th place. Here's Leanne Tander holding down P8 from Hamish Ribberts.
Will Brown's margins now 5.9 seconds back to Aaron Cameron, who's got 2 seconds back to Russell Ingall. Have a look at the back of that Audi. Have a look at the exhaust. It's just hanging loose and just bouncing around there on the RS3. Keep an eye on that for Leanne Tander. She runs here in the top 10, which she's been a regular runner in the tail of the 10 in her TCR rounds this year. She started with us at Phillip Island, was at the Bend and Queensland Raceway. She's really hard on herself, Leanne. Of course, she doesn't drive full-time in a full championship these days, so when she does get in, that competitive spirit's there, and I think she does a much better job than she probably gives herself credit for. She does really set a high standard for herself.
100%, and I didn't know that the Sleuths had an exhaust division either. Great stuff. The Empire continues to grow. We go back to Morecambe.
This gave me a good idea,
D'Alberto.
That's a good idea. Might try that. Good fight here. D'Alberto and Morecambe, 4th and 5th, but they've lost touch with Russell Ingall. This was a replay of the start. Jason Bright initially went, then a drama, the clutch with an issue, and they all managed to avoid. So that Honda that was actually to the side, that was Martin. So that's where he lost all his time. This was contact with Jordan Cox, and it was a bit hard to see who did what to who there. And that car's ended up overheating as a result of being off the road. So Liam McAdam, little mistake here, turn 12. He's just in a little wide, just catches the wall there. It's on pit straight. He's got going again, but he's at the tail of the field in 17th place. This was Whitley returning to the circuit after a bit of an elbow session with Dylan O'Keefe as we get back to this fight for 4th place. Tony D'Alberto in the Honda Civic Type R. He looks a bit vulnerable here. Nathan Morecambe trying to line up the Type R, get by that Civic. Tony D'Alberto carrying the number 50 years of Honda in Australia this year. And Morecambe zeroing in this Hyundai. The i30N has been a really competitive car in TCR Australia this year. Will Brown out in front. The margin 6.7 seconds now. He's really playing with them.
Just on your point about Honda, we walked into their Australian headquarters in Melbourne on Thursday, and they are pumped up about TCR and motorsport generally. Few of them walking around in Red Bull F1, Toro F1 jackets. They're right into it, which is great.
Amazing history. Honda in, well, all sorts of motorsport in 2 wheels, 4 wheels. And D'Alberto here, highly experienced these days, spent many years running and racing with his own family team in the Supercars Championship, long time association with Commodores through the Walkinshaw organisation, now with DJR Team Penske, the co-driver for Fabian Coulthard. He's the go-to guy for the Kiwi in the Supercar endurance races. Nathan Morecambe keeping this pressure on, keeping the fight rolling.
Look at him, lights flashing.
Yep.
He senses Tony's struggling here and wants to get by. I'm glad we saw that replay before 2 noons of Morecambe versus the Audi of Liam McAdam, because it's pretty clear from the replay, no contact. It was just McAdam on his own, and you can see there's no damage to the front of that I-30.
We thought earlier on in that previous race there may have been contact with the GRM cars, but clearly not. Chris Pither in the wall himself on the exit of turn 2. That's the car that has not lined up in this race. The damage to the number 33 Renault was just too much, so the Kiwi is a spectator for this one. This is the fight for 4th. D'Alberto a little wide on the approach to turn 1. That will give Morecambe a bit of a sniff up the hill. The old turn 1, it's turn 3 now here at Winton Motor Raceway, and that setting on the headlights is on, where it's flashing every now and then just to grab the attention of the Honda driver. Cam in the lane.
The loop noons on that story with regards to Leanne Tander's exhaust. It's only broken mounts at this stage, hasn't affected performance, but the team are monitoring it and said if they hear any sounds, Leanne, just to keep driving, they'll deal with it later.
Okay, thanks for the update. That's good news. Tander runs in position 8 as this fight continues. Will Brown, 7.3 seconds back to Aaron Cameron. 2.7 between he and Russell Ingall, and then about 4.5 seconds back to the fight that you see on your screen here at Winton Motor Raceway. 7 laps to go in this final race of the weekend. 3-race format for TCR Australia. 3 weeks' time, we head to Sandown. So we stay in Victoria, we just head south down to that historic venue that I love so much. The 3.1 kilometre layout that's been the site of great open wheeler racing and touring cars, and it launches S5000. We'll see TCR Australia as well. Can't wait to get down there, but we're not done here yet. Will Brown leading the way. Let's have a look at this replay with Liam McAdam. And as soon as he got on the dirt, he was in trouble. Light bump on the left rear of the Audi. He got going again. He's hit 17th. Morecambe at turn 1. What a move.
That was aggressive stuff through 1, and I think Tony yielded. I think he saw that Morecambe had really committed there. Wild stuff, but the Hyundai driver gets it done. Moves ahead of Tony D'Alberto for position 4. Meantime, the other I-30N enjoys a 7.8 second lead. Will Brown is out of here. From Aaron Cameron, Russell Ingall holding down 3rd. Dylan O'Keefe has been able to get to position number 9. That's worth 25 points in this race, but his rival Will Brown leads the way and can bank potentially the maximum 50 in this one.
Let's have a look at the replay. The Actron Air replay. Morecambe, almost 4 wheels were off the road. Now, his right-hand side tyres, were they completely inside the line and therefore out of bounds? Alex Davison is the driving standards advisor to TCR Australia. Race director Laurie Schmidt. Dave Stewart is the deputy race director. Race control, probably have a look at that one, because was he actually in the field of play when he launched the move? And you were right. D'Alberto had probably 2 options there, yield or get hit.
Tony's a pro racer. I wouldn't mind betting he'll be straight on the radio to the team to make him aware of how he feels about that. We just watching this battle here of O'Keefe, but let's get an update, Cam.
No, I was going to follow up, guys. I was with HMO Customer Racing watching that replay, and the team immediately told me it was okay. He had 2 wheels inside the line. They were straight onto it.
Politics. We love the gamesmanship, and it happens on track and off as well.
Either way, it was a stunning move to get the car pulled up, and could have been far worse than some contact. It was a pretty hard race. This is a good one too. Dylan O'Keefe chasing Leanne Tander, position 8 and 9. And this is a fight-back mission. See the left front flare there on the Alpha just flapping slightly. He's had a season of boom or bust, Dylan O'Keefe. Piles of podiums, a couple of wins at Phillip Island, and then a big crash in the final race there. Some dramas too at the bend that took him out. So there's a couple of DNFs, 2 races that he didn't finish, and then a 10th and an 11th at the bend. Really, I mean, we've talked about how this weekend's hurt him in the series. It was the bend and Phillip Island that have really stung him. But he's not going to give up. He'll keep the fight on here with Leanne Tander. He's got a pretty good view of that dangling exhaust on the Audi on the run down the back straight. Down to end.
Hey, just before the race, Baz, you promised you'd be on the radio to Dylan every single lap, pushing him and telling him to get his elbows out. He's doing a great job at the moment.
No, he's doing a fantastic job. He was a bit quiet the first couple of laps. I thought, he's gone to sleep. He's thrown the towel in. And, he's got the eyes on it. He's getting a bit aggressive. He's going all right, because every point matters. We're just punching hard. Thank you.
If you can get ahead of Leanne Tander, that'll be worth 27 points in this race. But as he reflected at the end of race 2, it's the damage relative to Brown, who's leading the way in this one. Kudos to him, though, because he's raced smartly here. He knew he couldn't get involved in other trouble. Just got to bank some solid points here.
If he gets Tander, as you said, that'll get him, 27 points, but Will Brown will get 50. That'll leave him 116 down going to Sandown. When you consider how many points are on offer in a weekend of TCR, 2 for pole, 40 for the win in the first 2 races. There's 82. Another 50 for the final race, 132. He's nearly a weekend behind with just 2 weekends to go. He's going to need something to go wrong for Will Brown and have some stellar weekends himself to get there and have any chance of becoming the inaugural Car Sales TCR Australia Series champion. As we've seen this year, just when we think we've got the storyline figured out, it changes completely. So we're nowhere near done with 2019.
And the storyline will be influenced by the fact that we're off to somewhere new. They've been doing some work actually to Sandown that you talked about before, and back to Tailem Bend, where everyone's got a bit of data from the last time out. Admittedly earlier in the year, as James, Moffat, continues to apply the pressure here to Alexandra Whitley on the outside as they run down to the final 2 corners. Oh, lifting those rear wheels. Whitley hangs on to it, and I reckon Bright's there too. So Bright really pushing his GTI. This is an awesome battle. We'll keep a quick eye on that. Let's get an update from the lane, Cam.
Bryce Forward out of the car at the moment. Bryce, lots of action going out on track, and unfortunately not part of it. What's happened?
Yeah, it's actually snapped the left front damper clean in half. So, disappointing weekend for us. Obviously, certainly not on behalf of Kelly Racing. They've put a huge effort in and done heaps of work on these cars, but unfortunately, the reliability isn't quite there. And so, obviously, these cars are a fair bit behind in development compared to the other cars in the category. And I think it's time to, I suppose, revamp things a little.
Thanks, Bryce.
Thank you.
Early shower for Bryce Forward, and contact there. Alexandra Whitley and James Moffat were fighting pretty hard. I remember they had some contact earlier on in the year. Jason Bright now trying to take advantage. He's on the comeback trail from that slow start from the front row of the grid. Round the outside of the tree here at Winton. They're fighting for position 12. And it'll go on, but Bright gets the job done. The Golf GTI picks up another spot. Out front, Will Brown is the leader. Couple of laps to go. Margin is nearly 10 seconds now as Moffat tries to get back onto Jason Bright. The exit of turn 10, the run down to turn 11. We're counting down to the finish of this final race of the weekend in the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. What a miserable run it's been for GRM. They'll be back at Sandown in 3 weeks' time with the Renaults and the Alpha. This is the replay. Moffat makes a move. He's in the gap. Whitley just turns straight on in. Contact, and the Actron Air Golf is off the road and slow and trying to get itself rolling. O'Keefe's through on Tander. That's for 8th place. Couple more points, 2 more series points. They're all crucial at the business end of the season with 2 rounds and 6 races left to go. The young gun from Victoria in that Alfa Romeo Giulietta Veloce is working his way forward. Whatever he can get here, he'll put in his back pocket, I should say, and take with him away for what's been otherwise a tough weekend. Next on the list is Heimgartner, Andre Heimgartner, the Holden Astra, with 2.6 seconds down the road from the Alpha. Couple of laps to go. Here's the replay of how Dylan got it done. Coming out of the last turn, Leanne Tanner a little wide, and the Alpha just picks up the slipstream. And the Alpha looks to the inside at turn 1. Job done. 2 laps to go for our leader, Will Brown, who's now got the margin to 10.1 seconds. Cameron on target for his best finish of the year, a 2nd place in the Volkswagen Golf, and Russell Ingall to rack up another trophy. He got 3 at Queensland Raceway. Looks like he's going to get 1 at Winton here as well. 2 to go. Leanne Tander on board that Audi. Here is her teammate, Russell Ingall, the 2-time Bathurst 1000 winner, the Supercars champ of 2005. Accepted an invitation to have a drive in TCR to see what this was all about at the Bend, and loved it so much we haven't been able to get rid of him. He's been back a couple of weekends in a row. Molly Taylor, the Snap-on Tool Subaru, has come to a standstill. Her time in TCR Australia for 2019 at least looks to have come to an end on the grass here at Winton. She's got rallying commitments which preclude her from being with the series in TCR at Sandown and the Bend. So it's a shame to see her finish that way, but it's been a tough run with those Subarus for reliability this year. We're on the final lap at Winton. Will Brown has crossed the line to start the final 3 kilometres of racing. Russell Ingall here in P3. There's Aaron Cameron, car 2 in position 2. What a great result this will be. Getting closer and closer and closer to the front. It's been third 3 times this year. This will be his best of the season. And this guy is on target for win number 6 and podium number 11. Will Brown, final lap here at Winton on SBS. That rear right locked up. We jump on board with the young gun from Toowoomba. The Toyota 86 champion a few years ago. Champion in Formula 4. Race winner in Super 2. Endurance driver for Erebus Motorsport with Anton Di Pasquale in the Pertec Cup. We'll see him later in the year together, the 2 young guns at Bathurst, having a crack at the great race. But right now in TCR, he's the form man, the form car and the form team. He's going to get the job done with 2 race wins today, 3 podiums for the weekend. No one has been able to lay a glove on the I-30N, and the young Queenslander's done the job. Final turn is coming up at Winton Motor Raceway in the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. Will Brown stamps his authority all over the field and picks up another win. Checkered flag out, massive margin, and Brown wins at Winton. New lap record, 1:24.37 back on lap 5. Daylight behind him. There's Aaron Cameron. Well done. Second place. It's Melbourne Performance Centre 2 and 3 with the V-Dub and the Audi. Russell Ingall home in third. Nathan Morecambe, what a day for the HMO Customer Racing team. He's home in 4th. There's Delberto, P5 in the Honda Civic Type R. His teammate John Martin is next across the line. Andre Heimgartner in the Astra. Dylan O'Keefe in the Alpha finished in 8th place. But congratulations all round for the HMO Customer Racing team. They've got the job done. Let's recap the way they finished in race 3 here at Winton Motor Raceway. Look at the margin, 10.74 seconds. That is big. Further down the order, Dylan O'Keefe, position 8 in the Alfa Romeo. He managed to fight his way back into the 10. 10 to 9. Hamish Ribberitz, 10th place in the Holden Astra from Kelly Racing. Outside, Tim Brook in the Honda Civic. Jason Bryant, 4th back to 12th place. James Moffat finished 13th. We'll wrap it all up. Stay with us from Winton in just a moment.
2016 Australian Rally Champion and a Dare to Be Different ambassador. Molly, how have you enjoyed the experience?
It's been incredible. I mean, a huge jump in the deep end, just so completely different to what I've been doing my whole rally career. So, yeah, very different, but I just really enjoyed the challenge and, throwing yourself into something that scares you a bit, and yeah, I'm learning so much every time I get out in the car.
There's been a lot of ladies on the grid this year, which has been fantastic to see. Young guns and experienced drivers as well. I mean, what's it been like competing against the Russell Ingles and the Garth Tanders of the world?
Yeah, pretty surreal, I think, and again for me with zero experience and that sort of, at least you're jumping into the top level.
Dare to Be Different, a fantastic program that you've been involved in. Why did you get involved with a program like that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I was growing up, and if I look back at how I started motorsport, I was really lucky because my mum was competing. So for me, I had that role model, and I never really questioned whether I was a place for women or not, because I just saw that was what my mum did as her profession. And to be able to do that to other females that aren't in that position, it's pretty hard to walk away from your ability to be able to help someone like that.
You made the move for love to Melbourne this year from Sydney. How have you been enjoying here? This is essentially a home track for you now, Winton.
It's been cold, I won't lie. This winter's been a change going from living on the Sydney beaches to down in Melbourne. But it's a fantastic area, and just by chance I moved 5 kilometres down the road from Kelly Racing, so that's been really great. I've been able to pop over during the day, and yeah, so it's a lovely area. I just need to look forward to summer, I think.
It was a tough ending to her chapter in TCR, but it's been awesome to have Molly Taylor as a part of this in 2019. We hope to see her back in 2020. We're about to do the Round 5 Race 3 trophy presentation for Car Sales TCR Australia Series. Thanks to our other sponsors, Car Sales, Astron Tech, Actron Air, Michelin and Panther Fuel, but it's the HMO customer racing driver, Will Brown, our series leader, who has done it again. 2 from 2 today. That must feel good.
Yeah, it feels awesome. The car's on rails. It feels like, a Formula 3 car out there. So, yeah, no, it was awesome. We just can't thank the guys enough. And what a weekend. Nearly had the perfect run apart from race 1.
The lap time was nuts, mate. A low 1 minute 24. We're almost talking qualifying pace.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I'd just keep going and see what sort of lap time we could extract out of it, and it was amazing. Like you say, nearly qualifying pace. So the car was awesome. So yeah, we're really happy. Righto, we're about to give you a trophy. You got double duty at Sandown. Go get them there. Joining us from Michelin to present number 1 is Peter Heatley, the Michelin Motorsport Manager. As we move to position number 2, Aaron Cameron. Another step forward in this one, and that's got to feel good.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Start was good. Unfortunately, Bridie stalled, so yeah, really put us in a good position for the rest of the race. And I haven't got the second place trophy yet, so it's a good one to add to the collection.
Did it make the heart race when you saw that happen to Bridie? It could have been frantic, couldn't it? I was, I'm sure.
Yeah, look, I was sort of a bit excited because it gave me the break with everyone else, and we nearly got Will there at one stage, but he was blistering fast at the end there anyway.
Hey, we've got something special for you. Peter Heatley here, Michelin Motorsport Manager Australia, position number 2 trophy. He'll enjoy that. I'll wander out in the meantime and speak to someone who'll be stoked on Father's Day to grab yet another trophy. Congratulations, Russell Ingall.
Yeah, that was a good Father's Day present, wasn't it? Yeah, look, really good. Got a burst to start. I'm starting to get the hang of the starts in these things because they're a little bit tricky. But it was a hard race because the 2 boys at front wheel was gone. But I thought, I'll keep the pressure on Aaron to see how he's going. But, mate, the cars are from the same stable. He's actually got the same setup as I have, or near enough. So I thought, whatever he's doing, I'm not going to do any better. So all credit to Aaron too. A really good driver. I tell you what, Corporate Australia, if you're listening to any of this, and you should be, this man here, look at that picture, look at that name on the side of that car. Mate, we've got to keep this guy in the category because he's a very, very good driver. And I'll tell you what, I sat behind him, didn't make a mistake. So that's what this category is all about, young talent. Support guys like that, and it's got a bright future.
Nicely said. Well done. We've got a little something for you. 3rd place trophy. Want to see you at Sandown and Taylor Bend as well. Russell Ingall in the top 3 here today as we go to Cam for more from the lane.
Nathan Morecambe, 4th again, but you're now only 36 points off 2nd and also 7 points off 3rd. It was a good weekend for HMO Customer Racing.
Oh, it was a great4 places, and Will got 2 wins and a pole position. But great weekend. It was a bit of a shame then. Got a good start, but with Bridie stalling in front of me, it hampered me, so I had to check up. And as I've checked up, I'm going to pushed me from behind, which I'm surprised they got away no damage, but I was just worried that somebody was going to check me back into the side of Bridie, but got away with it. Had a good clean battle with Tony D'Alberto. Just had to get past him a bit sooner so I could try and hunt down the enforcer, but that wasn't the case. So, but definitely a good job by all the HMO boys this weekend, and good points for the series. And now, to be honest, 36 points behind second place. There's nothing saying us from getting a 1-2 for the championship, which would be awesome.
Thanks, Nate.
Thank you.
And of course now we are gearing up for the penultimate round of the 2019 series. In just a few weeks' time we'll reconvene in Sandown for what is going to be a huge race meeting. We would love to see you there for the debut, the Australian debut of the brand new S5000 series, which will include Will Brown, who dominated here today. He'll be on double duty. Rubens Barrichello, former Ferrari Formula One driver, and a host more. In addition, of course, to this great series. We're about to spray some champagne, gentlemen. What a fantastic finish to the weekend here. That wraps up our coverage here on SBS. We hope you've enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time. Bye for now.